Previously on Human Convergence. So this is to get back to the point, technology is giving us a lot of benefits, but it's also causing a lot of problems. So what is the future of humanity?
Right. I mean, where does it go?
Now, one of the funny things that I want to share with the audience is that, do you know that AI came before computers?
What?
Yeah. Wait, I have a surprise for you guys. I've been saying in the past 3 episodes that this is a 6-part mini-series. Well, it turns out there's going to be 7th episode. Welcome back, humans, to the Human Convergence, to this 7-part series where Alex and I take you to a journey of discovery as to who we are, why are we here, and where are we headed. It talks about this wonderful possible future where humanity joins the club of advanced civilizations in our galaxy and beyond. Many of our viewers were asking how these different parts come together to the concept of human convergence that we're driving at. In the first episode, we talked about how there are billions of habitable planets possibly in our galaxy. That sets the stage for answering the question, are there other advanced civilizations and where are they headed? In the second episode, Doom and Gloom, we talked about how technology is helping us in so many different ways, not just to improve our living standards, but to actually clean up the environment and bring Earth back to its pristine form. But one of the gloom part in that second episode was about how we have developed weapons of mass destruction, and perhaps there are some negative sides to technology too, and we could perhaps destroy ourselves. In the third episode, we discussed the concept of being royally screwed, literally and I guess figuratively. The royalty here talks about how in the past, processed carbs like white rice and white bread or access to a lot of sugar was a common thing that a lot of royalties and rich people had. And they had certain lifestyle diseases that you don't see in the past among poorer people. And now the same issues that royalties were facing is now faced by every human being on the planet. And then not doing our own work, not washing our own clothes because we have a laundry machine, not washing our dishes because we have a dishwasher, not walking around because we have a car going everywhere. All those automations that's happening, that's another way that technology is actually negative for us. But before we talk about how AI itself can solve these problems, we need to understand the concept of where AI came from, how do we measure its intelligence, and who actually created AI on this planet. In this episode today, we will talk about a new concept called Turing machines, as how Alan Turing is both the father of AI and computers, and actually AI came before computers, and how Turing Test can be extended and used to measure when certain thresholds are going to be crossed, where artificial intelligence can start taking over. This would be a very abstract topic, even in August 2022 when these conversations were recorded with Alex. But, we kind of foresaw this was going to happen. And now it is actually quite relevant. Chat GPT and other AI, generative AI technologies emerging, and people are wondering where things are headed. In episode number 5, we're going to see how the same changes that are happening on Earth with our AI that all got started by, Turing Test and Alan Turing are going to be happening on millions, perhaps billions of other habitable worlds that we discussed in the first episode exist. And if civilizations evolve there, one thing to notice is that those planets, more than half of them, are more than 1 billion years older than Earth. And if they are going through the same technological revolution, we will find that they both converge to the same point. In episode number 6, we're going to talk about Fermi's Club of Civilizations, which we will see how when all these different civilizations converge, you end up with many civilizations converging to the same point. We're going to explain why that happens. And there's going to be a bonus episode, episode number 7, in which we are going to give a solution to Fermi's paradox by seeing how the theory of human convergence actually explains that. So I hope you guys enjoy these episodes. Welcome back. So this is to get back to the point, technology is giving us a lot of benefits, but it's also causing a lot of problems. So what is the future of humanity?
Right. I mean, where does it go?
Back in 2006 or 2002, when I was getting my PhD working in this area, people would just find it very funny if I told someone I was building a little brain.
Uh-huh.
But now I don't think anybody's finding that
Right,
funny
kind of
anymore.
really,
It's
really
coming
entered
really
the
fast.
mainstream, hasn't it? Yeah.
And it's coming fast. It's
Mhm.
improving. We almost have a self-driving car from Tesla now.
Yeah.
So the question is, when that AI becomes advanced enough
Mm-hmm.
to be able to perform any task that a human being can. When I say task, I mean including learning new things,
Oh, wow. So really, I mean,
figuring out new things.
yeah.
And the only thing that could be limiting is that it's slower than human beings.
Hmm.
But it can solve any problem as complicated and as new as a human brain can. So there's a concept called Turing Test,
Mm-hmm.
which was coined by Alan Turing, famous gay mathematician from the
British,
Second World
right?
War.
Yeah.
British, gay mathematician, British.
Yeah.
A movie came out about him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
a couple years ago now, yeah.
Right. So he made the Turing test, but he also made the Turing machine, which is used in modern computers. Computer science won't exist, perhaps in some ways, would have been delayed if he didn't do that work during Second World War.
Uh-huh.
But the Turing test was like, if an AI, and he was building computers to build AI. One of the funny things that I want to share with the audience is that, do you know that AI came before computers?
What?
Yeah. So Alan Turing was trying to build an AI,
Okay.
and he built a computer to build an AI. And you can go back, we will put some references. If you can go back 200, 300 years, you can see like the first, actually you're a psychologist.
Mhm.
So first people building a hypothetical computing machine were trying to emulate human psychology,
Oh.
or human behavior, like
Right.
a robot, the term itself.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
That's
So
fascinating.
which came first, computers or AI?
Yeah, I mean, you'd think computers, but it sounds like
AI
actually
came
AI.
first. And the Turing test was coined by Alan Turing to replace human cognition. There were these computers, there were these women, actually mostly women, sitting there computing
Mm-hmm.
with computers. They were called computers. So they would be doing this massive number of calculations very, very fast before the Germans would break the code,
Mm.
and vice versa. And I think the Germans might have had another class like that group of people sitting, probably women. Definitely the Americans and the British had that.
Uh-huh.
Computers calculating for computing positions about where to send the planes, where to drop the bombs, to destroy enemy, weapons or whatever, and also to evade the radio. So imagine there's a radio with a submarine.
Okay.
They're calculating positions for the submarine, for the aircrafts,
Oh, wow.
for the cannons, for all of them. They're doing it by hand as a computer.
Yeah, like literally computing.
Yeah, and they're doing parallel processing. So they're having like these 60 or 80 people sitting in a grid,
Uh-huh.
and the task comes down. The first person is the orchestrator. I don't know what they were called, like partitioner,
Okay.
who would literally partition the job into pieces,
Mm-hmm.
give it to the women in the front row, and they will pass on down. And then when they're done with their parts of calculations, they would all be merged together. And in this way, you could do parallel processing much faster than if you just had one person.
Wow.
It's crazy stuff.
That is. I mean, they're very literally computers, but also it's the same
Yeah.
process as electronic computers.
And so he automated that. I think in the movie, they talk about this,
Hmm.
in that Alan Turing's movie.
Yeah.
But I think the women were talked about there, and he was talked about there. And I think at some point in the war, he actually did build a computer that could do this
Mm-hmm.
without needing the humans.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so he came up with a thing called Turing Test. And his idea was that if you could perform a task as well as a human being
Mm-hmm.
without knowing that the buttons are being pressed by a human or the AI or the machine is doing it itself, then that AI passes a Turing test, indistinguishable from a human being.
Okay. So you can't tell. So a task is being accomplished, and you can't distinguish if it's a computer doing it or a
Right.
human.
You can see why Alan Turing is kind of father of AI and computers,
That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
right? And it has inspired him to build more and more complex computers because then he can replace human thought.
Mm.
That was the idea.
Okay.
So hence the thing that the AI actually came first.
Right.
It's very interesting. Actually, I used to give a presentation on this. It was very interesting. I saw this in one of the talks that someone gave. Actually, Ray Mooney.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the machine learning professors from UT Austin. He used to talk about this, and I looked it up, and he was right. And I thought that was a very mind-blowing thing to introduce to people, But AI actually came before computers.
Yeah, very counterintuitive.
It was just harder than people thought. AI
mhm.
turned out to be harder than people thought.
Yeah.
Just like rockets turned out to be harder than people thought. So we're still not on Mars with humans. And we still don't have data.
Yeah, true.
Star Trek. Although in some sci-fi you would see robots by now, right? Running around.
Yeah.
A Terminator, I think, had
2022. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was happening, right?
Right. Not quite
Time
there.
travel.
Yep.
They were already like pretty intelligent, according to Terminator.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger's movie, right?
Yep.
I hope you guys like this episode. We'll look forward to seeing you to the next episode next week. Beyond this mini-series, we're going to be bringing you many, many guests in 3 areas. In the area of AI, the area of space exploration, and in the area of your health and your future and longevity. If you're interested in any of these 3 areas, and if you want to learn what is going to happen in the near future, and if you want to come on this wonderful journey with me, please click and like and subscribe.